Ready?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Hello, YouTube.
You good? Okay. you're the one who's gonna say cut or what? Okay. Hi friends! Today we have a very special video just in time for Valentine's Day, and I'm so excited for this one because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I got this guy to agree, a special guest. So say hello, it's my husband.
Hello.
And he's going to be our special guest for the video today. So I'm very excited. So as you can see from the title, it's all the things that we learned from having a baby, all the things that change in our relationship after having a baby, and all those good stuff. So if you're curious, just keep watching, and yeah, let's just get started. So I have a list of questions here on my phone, so if I'm looking down here, that's why. Okay, so the first question is, when or how did you know that you were ready to be a parent? So should I go first? When or how did I know I wanted to be a parent?
Yeah. Okay.
Or I was ready to be a parent? So for me, I actually didn't think about babies like when I was young. There are a lot of women who are like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a mom, I want to have this many babies by 25 or whatever, you know. I was never like that. I really didn't pay much attention to it, I guess. I knew that I wanted to get married, that's for sure. I knew that I wanted to have a great career, I wanted to have an amazing relationship, but I didn't really think about what's next, I guess. I think I was a bit too young still to think too far ahead of like, how's it gonna be when I'm a mom. So when I was young, I didn't really think about those things that far yet. Until like when I got a little bit older, towards my 20s, and of course I started thinking like, do I really want kids? And I think that was a question that I asked myself because, you know, the state of the world and everything, it's like a little bit like daunting, like how is that gonna be like, and you know, am I cut out for this? Like, is it something that I want to, is it something that I even want for myself? Like, do I see myself being a mom? Do I see myself having children of my own? I think I'm one of those people who are naturally quite good with kids. Not trying to brag, it's just somehow like kids kind of gravitate towards me, like my little cousins and like my little nieces, and so they just love like hanging out and playing with me, and I love like playing with kids. And I think I'm also very playful like by nature, and I think that's why I connect with children very easily. And so on that front, I was not nervous, but I didn't really think that much about like having kids of my own, because I feel like it's very different. Like having kids of your own, it's a whole new level than just like hanging out with a bunch of kids. I feel like it's a bit of like a big question that I was a bit nervous to ask myself, and then I started asking myself those questions, and I wasn't really sure in the beginning if I actually wanted to have kids of my own. But then I met this guy, and he made it clear that he wanted to have kids, and he was really like set on this idea of like having a family and things like that. In the beginning, I was very nervous, and I was a bit hesitant to think about those things and like see myself being a mom and having that future. But towards when I got older and older, like the more the idea felt more natural to me. And before we had our baby, our toddler, a few years before that, I started to like, how is that gonna be like? And then until later I started to be like, it seemed like nice, and then like it seemed like the idea was getting nicer and nicer in my head until I had started to have baby fever. And then I was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready. I feel like we were also in the point of our relationship where we were very established.
Stable.
Yeah, we were stable. We've been together for a long time. We've been in our companies already for a while. We were earning steady income, so financially it made sense. We had like a nice apartment that we liked, and we were mature enough in our thinking to think about starting to have kids, or yeah, a kid to start. And yeah, that it just like kind of flowed naturally. It feels like it was the right time then in my head. How about you? I felt like I had such a long answer.
You did. So, when or how did I feel ready to have kids? When, I don't know exactly anymore, but quite a long time ago already. I knew quite early on that someday I would like to have kids. How did I know then? I don't really know. I think it had to do with like a legacy thing or so, like passing something on. I guess when I started getting my first nieces and I became an uncle, I guess that like triggered that, like became more concrete, of like, okay, maybe someday like it became more concrete.
That's something that you wanted.
Yeah. And like you said, yeah, when we were like financially stable and when I finally managed to like sway you to the dark side, then we had like talks about that and like decided to get like, okay, now's the time, and now we want to like, we didn't rush into it.
No.
And that like just made it clearer for both of us, I think, for me especially, that like, okay, really want this. Been like thinking about it for
a while.
Long, but it became more concrete like the past years.
Yeah. And I think that's also something that I really appreciated from you, that you never pressured me, because you knew about my doubts about having children. You knew that I wasn't sure if I even wanted kids, and you never pressured me into like, these are the reasons why we should have kids, like a PowerPoint presentation.
No, like I know you enough to know that won't work, and it'll even backfire.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that can be coaxed into that. I'm like, if somebody's telling me to do something that I don't want to do,
yeah, it's also
I'm gonna fight it even more.
It's also a very big decision, of course.
Yeah.
So, like, I like how it turned out. Like we were both ready for it. Had like a good like talk about it, and then decided like, okay, we're gonna try to make this happen.
Yeah. It feels like the right timing now. And it wasn't like, okay, now, like either. We were like, okay, like I feel maybe like in a few months, next year or something, we can seriously like think about it or seriously consider it then, based on where we were.
Even so, it still catches you by surprise.
Yeah.
That's for another question.
Okay, so the second question is, how was our relationship before having our child?
I think we always had each other's back. We always like count on each other, and we also did everything together. So that means like the mundane stuff, like housework or so, we didn't really have a distinct division of like, you do this and I do that. We just like did it together.
Well, we did have a bit of a division for some things that you were mostly doing and I was mostly doing, but I think you mean maybe like it's not like super strict or also not like a sexist thing. Like
no,
not like
definitely not
I'm
like,
the man, I do this thing.
No, definitely not role pattern things, but like mostly,
it was more like our strengths.
Yeah, our strengths
or the things
and just
that we preferred.
And what made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the most important is we just always had each other's back, and we also conquered things together. Like if either of us had a challenge to face, we faced it together always.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of challenges. So. That's for another video, maybe. But a lot of the challenges that we had, just to be clear, is not between us, because we are very weirdly on the same page, like 95%, 98% of the time. And the challenges really came from circumstances around us. So, for instance, that I had to move to Belgium. I'm originally from the Philippines. We had to do a lot of paperwork for that, a lot of going back and forth with different things. But yeah, that's for another video. Something else? How was our relationship? Otherwise, you can
quite
still
spontaneous, I think.
Yeah. You still add later if you
Yeah.
think about something. For me, how is our relationship like before? Aside from the things that you already said, I fully agree. We're very much doing a lot of things together. Pretty much everything we did together. We traveled a lot, so that was also very fun. And that's something that we still like to do like even now, even after having a kid, we still like to travel. We don't mind like bringing her along. We love bringing her along, even if it's more logistically difficult right now, of course. That she's very little. I felt like, yeah, like what I said earlier, like we're always on the same page because we have very similar, if not like exactly the same core values. It's so funny because we're like from two different places, but somehow we have like very similar, if not exactly the same core values, and we just like have the same foundational beliefs, which really helps in a relationship, in a long-term relationship, because if you're not the same in those core beliefs and in those values, then it's gonna be really difficult to see eye to eye with things. And I think that's really like what holds us together all these years.
Yeah, it's really the strength of our relationship.
Yeah, aside from love, of course. Yeah, spontaneous. I feel like we were just very stable. Our relationship was just very stable. We've been together for a long time, and it's just like before we decided to have a kid, it was just like the next step to the relationship that made sense, because we had our routines that we did every day. We had like our routines every week, and it was just like we were really at a good place. And okay, it's like adding a next level, like stepping into the next level of our relationship when we decided to have a kid. Okay, so the third question is, how is our relationship now? I feel like there's not that much difference. There's not much difference from our relationship before we had her, from after we had her. I feel like the core of it is like pretty much stayed the same. I think.
Yeah, because we have the same values. And
Yeah.
also like pass those on. We're on the same page
On parenting.
parenting.
Yeah. Yeah, that really helps because we had the same core values, have the same core values and same beliefs, and so like we also are on the same page with the things that we want to instill in our child and the things that how we want to parent. So that also really helps because we're very much aligned on how we want our child to be brought up and how we want things to be done, like what traditions we want to have in the family and things like that. So I think that really helps. I think what changed is that it's not as spontaneous anymore, of course.
Yeah, I need to plan more.
You need to plan more.
Like you said earlier, it's like logistically there's more
Yeah.
to think about, and like you can't just get up and
Yeah.
go like before.
Yeah. Like before when we would go on trips especially, then we would just be like, oh, you know, when it makes most sense for us, when the trips are cheap and, you know, like the flights are cheaper. And like that was amazing because then we didn't need to think about too much about a timeline and blah blah. And we don't need to think about nap times and sleep times and things like that, and like logistics of bringing the bottle and bringing like my breast pump or whatever, you know. So it was just much easier to be spontaneous and to like do things just on a whim, I guess. It's more difficult to go on dates now. Because when you need to find the sitter, you need to make sure that somebody's taking care of her, of course, if we're gonna go out just by ourselves.
Going from no kids to a first kid, like it changes everything. Like your whole life basically gets like uprooted.
Oh, yeah.
In the most positive sense, I think. But like it still is like a change on a lot of fronts.
A lot, like I can't even express how much, like it's just I did so much research. I'm a planner, so I did tons and tons of research. I like looked into all the resources that I could find, videos, articles, books, like all the different things, podcasts on parenting, because I really want to see what I'm getting into. But once you're there, it's so different. Like it's still different from what you thought. I mean, like, of course there's some similarities, but it's just so, I can't even explain.
It's still like there's still like unexpected things or things you didn't consider or didn't think about or didn't prepare for.
Yeah, and of course every child is different too. So you can like prepare as much as you want for a specific child, but like you don't know how your child's gonna be like when they come out.
No, and also like our relationship now is also more like planned. Okay, who does what when? And if you look around our house, it's
Please
yeah,
don't.
it's more of a they're tiny humans, but they take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. They themselves don't take a lot of space, but their stuff is like,
Yeah.
wow. Our living room is like half her stuff or so.
So yeah, you need to plan more.
For sure. Luckily, I'm a planner, and I
Yeah.
like to plan. That's a good side too. But I think like a lot of things that are strengths in your relationship get heightened after you have a child, but also a lot of the negatives in your relationship also get heightened.
It reinforces everything. Yeah.
It reinforces everything.
If you have a strong base, a child will only make it stronger.
Yeah.
But if you have a wobbly base,
Yeah.
a child is not going to make
For
it
sure.
stronger.
It's gonna make it worse
Yeah.
if your relationship is not good in the beginning. Don't ever get into a relationship with someone and have a child with them thinking that the child's gonna fix things. That never
No.
works. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. Like, no. Do not recommend.
It just reinforces either way.
Yeah.
Like, if it's bad, it'll get worse. If it's good, it'll get better.
Okay, so the fourth question is, what are the similarities and differences of our relationship before versus our relationship now, and how has it changed? I think we already like
We discussed a lot.
started
already.
some of it already in the previous question.
Yeah, like having a child changes everything. You need to plan more, the spontaneity in the sense of like let's pick up and go. That's just not logistically feasible. On the other hand, too, you might think like, oh, my partner takes up all my love, so to say. But like to say, my heart isn't big enough to add in a child, but like it gets bigger. It's not like you need to redivide your affection between your partner and your child or children. It seems like it just grows, accommodates. There's just more love to go around. Say it in the cheesiest manner. But yeah, like the planning, we still do spontaneous things, of course, but it's just like there's more logistical.
Spontaneously planned.
Yeah.
I have like the spontaneous idea, then okay, like let's plan it.
Let's
like,
plan
a
it
month
and
from
then-
now.
Yeah. Not that much.
I think the similarity is also what I mentioned earlier. The foundation is still the same.
Yeah.
Our relationship in itself is still the same in a sense of like, this is how we communicate with each other, this is how we fight, this is how we resolve things, this is how we show our affection to each other. Those are still the same.
I think like now we're just more aware of. We want to set an example here too.
That's also important. You're going to be her role model of how men are supposed to be like, how men are supposed to treat her, which is
Yeah.
so important. And I'm like her role model, like how women are supposed to be like, no pressure.
Those on their own are very important, but also our interaction with each other,
Yeah,
like how
she
do
can
you
see that.
interact with your partner.
Yeah.
Not that much has changed there. We're just
Yeah.
more aware of
Yeah.
it now. Like, and now she's at an age where she'll pretty much repeat everything you say. So we need to mince our words sometimes.
The curse words. Need to be careful.
Yeah.
What I wanted to mention earlier is like the first year was difficult.
Yeah.
Now she's almost 2.5, and the first year was really difficult for us, especially like the first 6 months. I think the first year itself was still okay, but the first
Yeah,
6 months was like, wow.
Zombie mode.
Yeah, because you're really like in survival mode because you don't sleep much, and when you do sleep, it's divided into little chunks because the baby keeps waking up, you know.
And it depends, of course, on where you live and which rules are in place. Like where we live in Belgium, mothers get 4 months off work.
Almost 4.
Almost 4.
I think 18 weeks.
And fathers get since last year get 4 weeks.
Yeah.
When we had our first child 2 years
course
ago,
it
it was 3
affects
weeks
it,
still.
yeah, yeah.
Of course that affects it because like you're as a dad, you're there to help too. And you could like sprinkle those 4 weeks now. You could like sprinkle it throughout the first year, I think, or you could take it in one go.
You're gonna have to take it in one.
yeah, like when our daughter was born, I took the 3 weeks then in one go, and it just didn't feel like enough. So
No.
like I
Really
can't
not.
advise to like sprinkle it throughout and take it in chunks or so.
No, I don't know how people will do that.
Other places like in Scandinavia, in Sweden,
They
or
have
so,
like
they
a year.
have a whole year for both parents, which
Yeah.
is great because
That makes a big difference.
it makes a big difference. Like it's really like that first year is the most difficult. Like
Yeah.
after that first year, your child is really like you see the changes and they're getting more independent and so.
Just the sleep itself is
Yeah.
like a huge deal.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is like really a big deal. But their government is really focused on investing in children as like future citizens, future of the country. You want to bring up those future citizens in the best way possible. So the first year, mom and dad are both there. Don't need to worry about anything. I guess their pay still continues or so. I don't know the
Yeah, how much?
fine details,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, and that really affects it because when you're on survival mode, when you're on the edge, it's easier to like snap at each other. It's easier to bite each other's head off when you haven't had enough sleep, when you've had like 4 hours of
Yeah.
sleep, you know? And then you have a crying baby looking for your attention. It's just like you're always on the edge and can't relax. And it's so much easier to be nicer to other people, like to each other, when you've just had enough sleep, when you feel like you're taken care of, when you're able to take care of yourself. But it's not the case like in the first few months of having a baby.
It's more difficult.
Yeah.
You still take care of yourself, of course, but it's more difficult.
Yeah, but it's just really like zombie mode. And you really need to be aware of that and watch yourself a little bit more. But of course, like, yeah, it's just something that you need to push through.
You just need to be aware that a lot of things change, and if you are up for that, and still want a child, then go for it.
I feel like people are gonna want kids after this. Is there something that surprised you about becoming a dad or a mom, for my case? For me, what surprised me is time, I think. Like how it can be slow and fast at the same time, or feel slow and fast at the same time. Like there's this quote that's everywhere that's like the days are long but the years are short. And that's, I feel like, a good way to describe it, because sometimes the days feel long because it's so relentless and you're just go 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 and you're just exhausted a lot of times and you're just trying to do as much as you can, you know, like with the time that you have, because you don't have that much time now because it's like divided into so many different things and a lot of different things need your attention. But like the years go by so fast. Every time she has a birthday, I'm like, how has it already been a year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was a wreck like that first year when she like turned 1. I was just like sobbing. How is she already 1? How? And like my baby is like, I was just so emotional. Even when I had to fold all of her baby clothes, like the 0 to 3 months old clothes, I think. I'm crying a lot that time, and then I had to change to the 3 to 6 months, I think. I was like, no, why is she like growing up so fast, mama? Yeah, it's just like, it goes so fast. But yeah, I think also another thing that surprised me about becoming a mom was how natural it also feels to me, or felt to me. I wasn't sure how it was going to go because like obviously I've never been a mom before, but I've done my research and stuff, and like I know that I was like pretty good with kids and stuff. So I knew somehow that I was gonna be good at it, but like having it feel so natural to me, like I feel almost like this is like something that is meant to be, like meant to happen. So I think that also surprised me. I'm also, by the way, the oldest child. We're just 2, but like I'm the older sister. So I think it also helped to like help me practice a little bit with responsibilities and taking care of somebody else younger and stuff. So I think that really helps too. So yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
What surprised me in becoming a dad is how fast they learn. Like you explain them something, you show it, like you say, okay, that button makes the light go on and off or whatever, and like how fast they pick it up, like really amazed me. Like you said, like the time going like a day can seem long, but a year is like done
It goes
in
so
a snap.
fast.
And I feel like that even more when they start going to daycare or so, because then obviously the time you
Yeah.
spend with them is less in a
Less.
day. So you really like see if your daycare gives updates or photos or whatever, you really see them go with like leaps and bounds. Again with the like learning stuff fast. I wasn't really surprised by the dependence, because of course when you get a baby, like they need you for everything. But I was surprised by like how early on they give affection. So it's like that's what they tell you too. Like when they're very newborn, hold them a lot. Like there's a thing called like skinning, where you just like have
Skinning,
skin.
like skin to skin.
Sorry.
Skinning sounds like something else.
Yeah, sorry. Skin to skin. Just cut that. There's a thing called skin to skin contact, where you just have your bare skins touching each other, and that helps them to like as a very newborn to feel like
You get used to your scent too. Is there anything that you would have done differently, knowing what you know now?
Since our daughter was born, or like a while after, we started doing those date nights to really like make time for each other. And looking back on it, knowing what I know now, I would have started doing that sooner, directly after she was born, or even before. It's like when there's no kid like involved yet, then it's like easier to do like spontaneous date like activities. But after, like, I think if you have a habit already of doing those like date nights regularly, like checking in with each other, I think it might also be helpful in that first year that can be like
Yeah,
taxing.
because you can kind of get lost a bit in the parenting.
Lose track of each other a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's definitely something that I would do different if I could start over.
For me, it's not taking things too personally because I think, like, especially when you're in survival mode in the first year or the first few months, we got into arguments. But we got into arguments over like the pettiest things. Of you like left the thing open or whatever. Is it your turn now to change a diaper? And it can feel like an attack at the moment, because you feel like I'm already doing my best and blah blah, and then he's still like attacking me. But like the other person is also trying to survive, right? Just trying not to take things too personally, and knowing that we're trying to survive, but they're also trying to survive, and like you're just trying to do the best that you can, both of you, with the circumstances that you have. So
Just to be like compassionate with each other.
Yeah.
They're like that like.
and with
regular-
yourselves.
And with yourself. There, that like regular check-in can help. I think also, like, I remember during the first year, like we tried to also regularly just say, take relaxed time, like me time for yourself. And I think that's important too, that you're like not just constantly on, and we kept that too. Like now we still do, like on the weekend days.
We take turns.
We take turns, like the morning and the afternoon. Like we each take one half of the day, like being like the primary parent, so to say, for our daughter.
Yeah, and it also helps when there's like a default parent between two of you, which in our case it's me, and like she always comes to me for everything, and it helps him then when they have like their bonding time together. It helps her to spend some quality time with him instead of always coming to me, because when we're three of us together, then she always comes to me either way. She will still come to him for other things, but like for the most part she comes to me, so it's very exhausting for the default parent, and like it helps to relieve some of that for me, and it helps for him to so that they can bond with each other.
Bond better and get a better relationship.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question is, any advice that you would give to new parents or parents to be? So for me, I think communication is key in your relationship. Just make sure that you communicate, like even if over communicate to each other, that you want to say, and all the things that you feel like maybe obvious for you might not be obvious for your partner.
Voice it out.
Yeah. it's super important, especially in the beginning, because like you can't expect them to know what you're thinking. And even if you've been together for a long time, like for us, there were still things that misinterpreted because he didn't mean it that way, or I didn't mean it that way, or like this is actually what I wanted, but he thought something else. So super important to communicate.
Yeah, you can't in any relationship you can't like look in each other's head, but when there's a kid involved,
Even
still
more,
then it becomes
yeah.
even more important.
Yeah, exactly.
My advice: we're no experts on parenting, of course, so like
Just take it as with a grain of
take
salt.
it, yeah, just as advice.
From some parents who have been it for 2.5 years almost.
My advice is do your own research, prepare as much as you can, as much as you feel comfortable with, but also keep in mind that you're never fully prepared.
No.
There will be things that catch you off guard. There's some very instructive, very informative books on becoming a new parent, so go out and search for those.
I think it also helps
form
to
your
know
own
what
thing.
it also helps to know what you're getting into a little bit. Like it helps to relieve the nerves.
Exactly, but yeah, like just keep in the back of your head that there will still be like unexpected things.
Yeah.
Like every child is different, but like if you have like a framework already and know like okay, for some things are will be the same.
Yeah.
Like every child uses a lot of diapers, so like
Drinks a lot of milk.
drinks a lot of milk. Like if you know those things already and you're prepared for those, it'll like take the pressure off the other things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, please give us a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!